Hello everybody, and welcome back to our Ashlands playthrough. Today's episode is number 90, and in today's episode I have to apologise for the length of it. It is a bit of a short episode today, and the reason for that is that today I'm going to try and tame some lox. Now, going back to when I originally recorded this footage, I made a bit of a mistake when it comes to taming the lox, because with lox, because they deal a lot of damage, there's two ways you can really tame them. You can just try taming them in the wild. You have to use cloudberries in order to do it, which cloudberries you can find hundreds and hundreds of them all scattered around the plains. You don't even have to grow them or set up a farming route for them or anything like that. You can literally find hundreds of them within about 100 feet of wherever you decide to make a base. But the issue is that with taming lox, building a wooden wall around them, so as you can see the wooden stake wall that we're using around our base in the plains at the minute, you could build a wall like that around them, but the problem is I think it would only take the lox about 1 or 2 attacks to break those walls down, and then they'd just chase after you and you wouldn't actually end up starting taming them. And the other way you could do it is you could build stone walls, or you could dig a giant hole and basically try and tame them in that hole, but it's just going to end up being a bit of a pain in the backside and taking a very long time. So what I decided to do for taming today was I decided to just try and sneak up to a group of them. There is a group of lox that I've noticed that spawn along the coastline, usually round about where we leave the boat. I decided to sneak up to those lox and just drop some cloudberries near them and hope that they would not notice me and then start eating the cloudberries so that we could start taming them. Now, one of the issues with doing that is that the first lox I do this to, it tames within half an hour, all seems to go just fine, but the other two that are nearby kept wandering out of range of the cloudberries, so their taming process stops a couple of times, and they end up taking about 10 to 15 minutes longer than the second one. So this footage was supposed to be about an hour long, and in actual fact I had to cut off about 40 minutes of it because the taming process didn't work properly. So yes, it didn't exactly go very well, the recording of this one. It was a very spur-of-the-moment thing. I think after I'd finished recording one session, I was seriously thinking about taming some lox, and just decided one evening to log in and just fire up the game, fire up the recording software, and start taming the lox. And yeah, just didn't make a plan, didn't build anything. Did it all spur of the moment, and it was a big mess. So my apologies, this footage is going to be a bit all over the place. There is quite a long cut in the middle of it. Hopefully this cut will look a little bit more professional than the previous time we did it, with the boars that we needed to tame for our base after we'd managed to kill off everyone but one. So yes, that is today's episode. Now, we did go back at the start and we did check on the progress of our plants that we were growing. We're waiting for the flax and the barley to grow again. They haven't finished, but they shouldn't be that long away from being done. I think another day or two and it should be fine. It seems that flax and barley seem to take a bit longer than standard crops to grow, but again, I do believe that is because we're not spending a lot of time in the plains. That might be a factor, is that we're not actually in the plains biome, so this chunk of the world isn't loading in, so it's not actually taking the time required to grow the plants. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure how that works. Anyway, first things first, for taming lox, it's the same process as every other animal that you tame, aside from the chickens, but obviously we haven't got chickens yet, so we won't cover that. But yeah, for taming lox, same process as every other animal. You need to get them in an area that you know that they won't leave, and then you need to drop some of the food that they eat by their feet. And once they've started having the little golden hearts appearing above them, you need to wait at least half an hour for them to tame properly. So first things first, we're just going to quickly wander around and try and find some cloudberries. I realised that a couple of minutes ago I was bragging about how many cloudberries you can find in the plains and how easy they are to find, and here I am having to wander quite far to find some. That we might have picked quite a few of them already, so that's probably the reason why we can't see that many of them. There are also quite a lot of fullings around. I suppose it's because we've just come here after sleeping, so a lot of the nighttime spawns haven't despawned yet. But yeah, that's today's episode. We're going to be taming some lox. We're going to hopefully build ourselves a lox saddle, take one out for a ride, see what else we can do with them. I think the plan I have will be, once we have tamed them, and once we've got at least 2 of them tamed, we are going to then build a small pen for them. I say a small pen, we're going to build a moderately sized pen. I mean, they're locks, they're massive, they're going to need a bit of wandering room, especially if we plan on breeding them to have more. So yes, the reason why I decided to not use either of the 2 methods for penning the locks in order to tame them properly, without having to worry about them wandering away, is the amount of time that either of them would take. Because the issue we would have is that if we were going to build stone walls, we'd have to bring over a lot of stone. Now, with stone obviously weighing a fair bit, we'd only be able to bring a few stacks every time, so we might have to keep going back and forth. We'd also have to keep bringing a stone cutter table as well as the crafting table, and I believe the stone cutter table requires some iron, so then we'd also have to find a way of getting iron over here without sailing it. So a bit of a time sink in order to do that properly. We would have had to have sailed back to our home base to pick up some iron to then sail back, or we would have had to have found some iron nearby to bring over to smelt. So yeah, it would have taken a long time in order to build a stone wall. And the other method that you could use is basically just digging out a giant pit. You could use your pickaxe to dig a pit and then have a bit of a ramp into that pit that you could then have a gate on. It's like you could probably still use a stone gate or something like that, quite a strong reinforced gate on the actual ramp to that pit. And then what you could do is then attract a lox to come and fight you, and then trap them in that pit with the gate, because obviously they can't deal damage to the sides of the pit because it's part of the ground. It's the same principle as I was trying to explain with fighting Moda, when you need some areas to hide behind, some walls and stuff to hide behind. One thing you could have done during the Moda fight was use the hoe, I believe it is. Use the hoe and some stone to raise part of the ground up to make these little walls that your character can hide behind, because the bosses and creatures and stuff can't deal damage to the actual ground itself. So if you raise up that ground, you could hide behind it. And it's kind of the same principle with digging out a giant pit to tame the lox. They can't damage the walls of that pit. The only thing they could really damage would be the door or the gate, however you decide to trap them in there. But yeah, the reason I decided not to do either of those was because both of those methods would take a very long time. So what I'm doing here is I've picked a whole bunch of cloudberries. I'm not exactly sure how many cloudberries you need. I believe it would follow the same principle as the wolf and the boar, in that you'd probably need about 8 or 9 of them, maybe more. Might even be less than that, actually. Oh, there we go. We've just thrown the cloudberries at the feet of that lox, and he's got golden hearts. Perfect. There we go. That was a lot simpler than I thought it would be. But this also does showcase to you exactly how powerful the sneaking can be. I was right behind that lox. I'd just thrown the cloudberries behind it, and as it turned around, I was still pretty much right in front of it, and it didn't notice me, which is very effective, very useful. Now, the other problem we're going to have doing this is that we have one lox who's currently in the process of taming. They're going to, as long as they don't wander too far away... you might have seen just there we had a bit of a cut. The reason I did a cut just then was because I was waiting for the other 2 lox to wander close enough to the cloudberries and start taming. I don't believe any of them are taming currently. It's the problem with using this method to... Oh, there we go. I think both of them have just got an interest. Ah, yes, there is some golden hearts there, so they are taming. I was wrong. I just couldn't see the hearts on the background of the skybox. But I believe the third lox behind them... I believe that one keeps wandering too far away from the cloudberries in order to start taming, so we might end up having to distract that one and pull it away whilst the other 2 are taming, or we might wait until the other 2 have tamed and then probably have to kill that one off. because otherwise we're going to be sat here for another 20 minutes, half an hour, trying to wait for that third one to tame. And at the end of the day, we only really need 2 of them. We could just breed from the 2 that we've got, as long as we leave some more cloudberries in the little pen that we build for them. Now, there is going to be a second cut coming up shortly, which will be a cut to right before the second lox tames. I think we get the first lox quite soon, actually. The problem with recording this months ago is trying to remember exactly when I did the cuts and at what points throughout the recording that I actually did them as well. If I'm honest, I completely forgot about that first cut and didn't realise it was there. I believe we cut it out about 20 minutes in, but the other 2 keep wandering too far away from the cloudberries. So I believe one of them tames within half an hour, which is going to happen very shortly, and then the second one takes an extra 5 minutes, I think, and the third one just kept wandering. There we go, we just had our cut. So I believe our first lox is very, very shortly about to finish taming. And then I'm pretty sure, shortly after the first one's finished taming, it'll only take about 5 minutes or so, the second one should finish. And then, yes, one thing I do remember from recording this footage was I believe the third one kept wandering too far away, so I think the third one... Aha! There we go, there's our first one. Yay! Perfect. See that green health bar? Okay, so I believe this is the one that keeps wandering too far away. Or is it this one? Oh, actually, I'm not sure if it is this one or not. Oh, have we just made a mistake in attacking this one? I think we have. Should we drag him away? Oh, ouch. Oh, he hit me there. Actually, do you know what? I don't think it is this one. I think I've been attacking the wrong one. Oh, that was not a great idea. Tell you what, we're going to run away, put some distance between us, and let it go back. What am I doing? Oh, when I said this episode was going to be a bit of a mess, I think I've started attacking the wrong lox. Okay, right. I think he's reset now. He's wandering around a bit. Obviously he's a bit unhappy that he's just taken a few mace swings to the face. But I believe with the eyeball in the centre of our screen... Oh, excuse me. The eyeball in the centre. Oh no, it's closed. Yep, it's closed, so that means the lox has reset, gone back to the start. Right. Or gone back to his spawn point. Okay, so... Shouldn't be very long now before our second lox finishes taming. I completely confused myself as to which lox was close to finishing. One of them has, obviously we know that, we've seen the lox's tamed bar come up and then his health bar change to green. The second one shouldn't be that far away. I think it's going to take a few more minutes, just in case. So yeah, this is something I would definitely not recommend doing for any animals that you want to tame. Lox, wolves, boar, any of them, it's just a terrible idea. Like I said at the start of the episode, this was a very spur-of-the-moment idea, and I didn't plan it in any way, shape or form, so this has been one giant mess. I think this lox might be going back to the cloudberries now, the one who's dipping his head in the water. Kind of looks like he's taking a sip from the lake, or the pond. Is he taming? I can't see the golden hearts. Come on, you. I think he's still a bit annoyed, because we were attacking him. I know I'm not too close to be spotted. Obviously I'm not too close to be spotted because he would be running at us if we did. I'm just going to pick up these things off the floor here. I think that's some more black iron scraps. Oh, okay, the second lox is tamed. What? When did you tame? I've just noticed that the second green health bar showed up. Oh, that must have been when we did the cut then. Oh, my apologies. I think I must have mistimed my second cut in the footage. I must have cut it to right before the second lox tamed. That might have been when we did the first cut then, actually. We might have cut it and then not noticed the first lox tame. Well, at least we have 2 now, so actually... I think we'll give it a minute or 2 more, just to see if this third one tames. Although I really can't tell if this third one is actually taming at all. He's not... I can't see any golden hearts coming off his head. Wow. Yeah, my apologies everyone, this has been an absolute kerfuffle of an episode. This is absolutely, do not use my method for taming lox whatsoever. If it takes you an extra half an hour to dig a pit or to build a stone wall, then just do that. Don't bother doing what I've done here, because this is an absolute kerfuffle and a big mess. Yeah, this one doesn't seem to be taming at all. I cannot see any golden hearts coming off his head. It's almost like he's not interested in the cloudberries that are down there. At least we're getting some levels on our sneak. Our sneak is level 12, that's not bad. We haven't done a huge amount of sneaking in this playthrough, so having level 12 is quite nice actually. It's impressive to know that we've done that much at least. Oh no, there is a golden heart, I can see it now. I think he just I think he just ate one of the cloudberries, okay. You also notice that one of the locks there, who took a little bit of damage earlier, he has he's healing ever so slightly. He's doing 0.6 a second, which isn't fantastic, but that's how you heal animals, is you feed them. I believe we showcased that with some wolves earlier as well. So when animals take damage, you have to feed them in order to heal them as well. They don't heal for a huge amount. It's not like an instant heal or anything like that. It's a very, very small like heal over time. This Lox is taking forever. Ah, there we go. Yes, we got the third one. Okay, so that was definitely worth waiting the extra few minutes. Lox loves me. Yay! We have 3 Lox. Hooray! This one loves me. This one probably doesn't love me because I just smashed him in the face several times. Very sorry, Mr. Lox. Very sorry. We were going to kill you off, but then decided that we weren't going to bother. So yes, I cut out the first Lox being tamed, so that was my own stupidity there. I cut at the wrong moment. When I say I cut, I basically paused the recording and then restarted it when I thought I was ready to restart it. I'm guessing I must have missed the first Lox when it started taming. That wasn't fantastic of me. Right, so now that these Lox are finished taming, I think that we're going to head back to our base and have a quick look at the plants, the flax and the barley, to make sure, see if they've finished growing yet. We're not going to build the pen straight away. Have these finished growing? Ah, they have. Yes, perfect. Yeah, so we'll pick these instead. We're not going to build the pen straight away. We're going to do that in our next episode. I think this episode has been a giant mess, so I think I'm just going to quickly do this just because they're ready. We'll replant some of them, and then we'll head back in our next episode, and we'll do it properly. We'll build them a nice pen. We'll hopefully bring us a Lox saddle as well. Maybe even give it a quick ride, just to see what the mechanics of riding a Lox are like. Again, this will be my first time riding a Lox. Never done it before in the game. This is my first time taming Lox as well. I think this is one of the reasons why I didn't look up a guide or any kind of advice or anything on how to tame Lox, apart from digging the giant pit. Because I had the idea in my head that Lox did so much damage that using the stake walls, the wooden stake walls, were not going to be very useful. We're going to actually end up... Is that a Grey Dwarf Brute? It is. Why is there a Brute in the plains? Come on. There's no way you were attracted from that far away to walk up to my base. I guess he must have spawned in the plains and he's just wondering, like, they must have spawned near us. So yeah, what I would say for Lox, if you're planning on taming them, is look up a guide, look up some advice on it. Maybe we might even have a separate video for that in future, because I would not recommend following what I've done here. How the heck did you... Oh, I left my gate open. Yeah, that's right, run out of the gate. Yeah, you better leave. You weren't invited in. Yeah, definitely look up a guide or something like that. Don't follow what I've done here, because what I did there was a giant mess. It took about 45 minutes to an hour to tame those 3, and yeah, that was just not done correctly in the slightest. I'm actually considering myself incredibly fortunate that I actually managed to get them tamed at all. Oh, we can't teleport. What are we holding? Oh, we've got black metal scraps on us. Is that everything? Yep. Let's dump those in there for now, because we are just going to head back. Let's take... So we've got 102 barley. We've got 88 flax, so we're going to leave 50 of each and then take the rest back to pop in the windmill and the spinning wheel. There we go, chuck all of those in there. I do like the way the windmill sounds when you're filling it up. Obviously, because the way a windmill works, it's using wind to power that giant rotor, and that giant rotor, as it spins, is turning these 2 grindstones that are on top of each other, and then the grain goes in the middle of those 2 grindstones, so it basically gets ground down. It's an automated grinding process for flour. I believe that's the old school way of doing it. But I like that the more barley you add, the lower the pitch goes in the sound of the 2 grindstones. against each other. We've added the flax. Gonna dump some stuff away. I'm probably going to end the episode soon. So, apologies everybody. Today's episode was a very short one and a mess. And yeah, hopefully we'll pick up in our next episode and do a bit better. So, thank you everybody for watching. I hope we'll catch you in the next episode.